Hello, Steve White, Steve White's 89. Well, I can't believe I'm making another video about Star Trek Picard, but there's a lot to talk about. And I like talking about the show. So I didn't actually think a lot of this when I first saw it, because I thought this had already happened, but it actually hadn't. Basically, Star Trek Picard, Season 3, has shown up in the Nielsen Top 10 streaming shows. Now, they do streaming differently than they do TV shows. TV shows, they base it on share and views. This, they've actually based it on the minutes watched, and we'll debate about that later. But Star Trek Picard showed up at number 9 at 310 million minutes viewed, which is, I mean, it's a first for Star Trek. It's almost a first for Paramount Plus. That's what annoys me. A couple of weeks ago, some other show, I think it's called 1923, showed up. It's one of the Yellowstone spin-offs. That was the first Paramount Plus show to show up on this Nielsen chart. And it would have been really nice for Star Trek and Star Trek Picard, which was, Star Trek's really supposed to be the sort of big sort of franchise for Paramount Plus. So it really would have been nice if the first streaming show to rate on Nielsen would have been Star Trek, but it was the second show. But either way, it's there, and it probably would have made it had season 1 and 2 not been so bad. It took a while for people to actually warm up to season 3. A lot of people still will not watch it because of season 1 and 2 of Star Trek Picard. And that's the funny thing. This is basically for March, and it's showing that the views are growing. It took to the third or fourth episode to get enough numbers to appear in the in the chart, whereas you kind of would have expected it right away. And we're only up to the fourth episode, so when we see the numbers, the minutes watched for episodes 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, I think we're going to see the show move further up that chart, because Yellowstone had like 500 million views, so it had more views than Star Trek, which is the other annoying thing. Star Trek wasn't the first Paramount Plus show to rate, and it didn't have, and this other show has bigger numbers, but it's still in the game, and it's going to do better. Now I feel bad because I haven't watched the last 2 episodes on Paramount Plus because they make Australia wait a whole 24 hours and it's available elsewhere. So I'm going to have to watch them again so they get my numbers. And I don't know, I guess I'll watch the whole season again after the final episode's available, and I'll do the whole lot again like the next day or something. Not just because I want to watch them as a whole, but also because I want to give them the minutes, because I do want there to be a legacy series. I do want the Metalis verse to continue, and I do believe that can happen with Kurtzman. It's still sort of, as long as he's getting money for his credit, his producing credit, I don't think he really cares. I'm not sure his ego is that involved that he's going to stop anyone else making the show. But it is frustrating that we have to sort of make an effort to watch this show and show Paramount how invested we are and how much we care about this Star Trek and through this show, in order to justify a spin-off, just like we had to do with Strange New Worlds. People didn't like Discovery when they brought the Enterprise and Spock and Pike on to season 2. People liked that more than Discovery. People wanted a Pike series, and they really pushed for it. And it took years to get it, but we got it. But we had to prove and justify it. Why? They do, these other shows that no one asks for, no one cares about, like the 32nd century Starfleet Academy show, which could have been a good idea in the 23rd or 24th century with the established universes and everything. The way they're doing it's not going to work. But no one asks for it, no one cares, no one wants it. But Kurtzman got it made. But yet this other show people want. I mean, my God, Picard season 3 got made by accident. Basically, they were busy doing something else, and they got it made basically by splitting the budget for season 2 and doing this, what do you call it? A bottle show basically, which they sort of they made it happen, and it was a struggle. And now we're struggling to get this other series made. It's so frustrating. And there's a few little bits and pieces, like they actually built the set of the Enterprise D. I didn't think they did. I thought they just used one of the other ones, because there's a couple that exist at the moment, as far as I know. I think there's two. And there's something in a museum or something. I thought they just used that. I thought they would have just shipped it over to the soundstage and filmed on it instead of building it. But they built the whole thing, and apparently took the whole season to build, and then you had 2 days to film on it. And it is indeed Alice Krige voicing the Borg Queen. We do see her in the last episode, and she is not in a good way, and that's partly thanks to Janeway. And they do rationalise and work in the season 2 Borg story, which was ridiculous, but still the best part of the season and the best thing they've done up to that point. And they do actually fit that into this new Borg storyline, so that'll be interesting to see. But so I'm glad to see that Picard is actually in the top 10 of Nielsen ratings. It's only the second Paramount Plus show to actually get the minutes to actually get on the list. So I'm happy about that. But obviously this chart has been running since 2001, but there was no Discovery in 2001 and 2002. There was no first season of Strange New Worlds. There was no Lower Decks. There was no Prodigy. There was no Picard season 1 and 2. And that's the other thing. I thought Picard season 1 and 2 had started big and had made it on the list. I thought they'd got enough views to sort of get that sort of attention and make it on this sort of list. I didn't realise they hadn't made it. I didn't realise. I'd heard some numbers for Picard last season that were kind of impressive in that, but apparently not as much as I thought. So I didn't realise. So the reason why I'm making this video is the shock that this is the first time Star Trek has made it onto the Nielsen ratings and rated high enough to actually, be notable. I thought they'd done this with Picard season 1 and 2, sorry. I thought they'd actually started off big and fallen off. I didn't realise they'd never even made it on. So that's news. And I also just wanted to point out that the Borg Queen, Alice Krige, is back, and it kind of undoes all the other Borg stories, and I'm glad she's going to hopefully be the last person to portray the Borg Queen. She was the first, she should be the last, and she's the best. So let's go with that, and just hope other people don't take credit for her design again, because I'm sure this is a new design. We won't get into that either. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. I just had to celebrate this little ratings moment once I realised what it was. Because like I said, I thought this had happened before, and it hasn't. So this is the first. And I'm going to go. Looking forward to the last episode. Glad it's going to be streaming in IMAX. All of this, is very hopeful for a legacy series for Star Trek. This kind of Star Trek continuing. I just don't know what to make of Starfleet Academy. If no one watches it, are they just going to keep making it because Kurtzman wants them to, because he's got contracts? Like, why do what the fans want, what the fans are actually watching and calling for and asking for and begging for, why that is so difficult to recognise and acknowledge and actually develop and give us, but yet these other shows that no one wants get greenlit and get made and get money, and no one wants Section 31. I mean, Michelle Yeoh is a big star, so there's that issue, but no one wants that show, but they're still trying to make it. And here we all are screaming and begging for this show, like we were with Strange New Worlds, which they just tied into Discovery and undermined anyway. They could have done had its own thing, unrelated, not contradicting, but not sort of, continuing, but yet they went and undermined it by linking it to all that, because I think maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Kurtzman's ego is invested in this, and it is going to stop us from getting, Metallis Trek, Terry Trek, because it seems like this series is only good because it slipped under the radar and happened by accident, and maybe Kurtzman will stop it from happening. I don't know. I'm trying to be optimistic, but then I'm having moments of reality slap me, and I'm like, oh. But I'm going to go. I've been talking for 10 minutes. This was just supposed to be a short video, but this is fun to talk about because, yeah, I'm going to go. I'm not going to keep going.